And see, what a lot of us don't understand is there is a breaking point. You have to reach a breaking point. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm talking to myself more than I'm talking to anybody. There has to be a breaking point in your life. You know, Jesus gave the example through the loaves and the fishes. He had to break them first before he multiplied them and put them out there. But look, the breaking is the multiplying. The breaking is the multiplying. You have to understand that. Every time it seems like you're being broken, every time it seems like the adversary is fighting against you, every time it seems like you're getting pulled this way and that way, God is allowing you to be broken. You had this, you had that, you thought you had it together, you thought you had the plan all worked out, but then something came up, a monkey wrench was thrown in there. God is allowing you to be broken. Breaking, it does multiple things, but one of the main things it does, it rids us of all impurities. Everything that would hinder your growth is being pulled out. It's being exposed to you. Now, breaking can either be voluntarily or involuntarily. You understand what I'm saying? You can do it on your own, or God can allow situations to do it and knock you clean on your fanny. Understand what I'm saying here. It would be best for you to just go ahead and say, listen, I have got to break myself rather than allow God to break me. Because you got to understand something. God does things for our good. So he doesn't care nothing about the pain that we go through while it's happening. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's not going to be one that is sensitive to your pain while you're going through the breaking process, because all he sees is the end result. Why do you think so many of us walk around right now and we're still here in spite of all that we've done? Why do you think God still allows us mercy and grace in spite of all that we've done? It's because he sees the end result of you. He sees what you're going to be. He sees what you're turning into. All he needs you to do is stay focused on that. There has to be this breaking point in your life. There has to be enough is enough. There has to be I'm tired of being sick and tired. There has to be a point in your life where you say, for God I live, for God I die. I'm not going to turn my back. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Some of us are still struggling with those areas. I understand, especially when your finances get tight. Man, it becomes hard to focus on the promises of God, because the main thing we're saying is, man, you said the righteous is never forsaken. Seed ain't never begging bread. Oh, no man, nothing except to love them. Lend to many, borrow from none. See, we remember all of those promises. We remember those promises, but we forget about the promises of God that reminds us that if we are unfaithful in the least of these things, then we are just as guilty as being unfaithful in all of the things. The least little thing. The least little thing. It might be minute to you. You might say, man, ain't no way in the world I'm going through what I'm going through over that little lie I told, over that little misdeed I did. There's no way that I'm suffering in this magnitude based on that small thing I did. But again, God doesn't weigh sin on a scale. He sees sin as sin. That little lie you told your baby, you know, as to why this was happening or that happened, that's big. To God, that's big. That's a big deal. That little misdeed that you did with finances or financial obligations, that's a big deal to God. You might as well should have did a Ponzi scheme in his eyes, because that's how he looks at it. So what God allows is for us to be broken. God allows us to be broken. He allows us to see that thing. He allows us to go back. I'm looking and I'm saying, why are the finances like this? Why am I like this? And God says, okay, now go back to when you was only making such and such. When you were making such and such, look at how you were living. But no sooner than you got the better paying job, no sooner than you got the pay raise, you included this new dress, you included this new hat, you included these new shoes, you included this new venture that you go on every weekend with your friends. You ate out a little more than you was before. Before you were stuck on oodles and noodles. Now you out you at the walk, you at this place, you at that place, you eating at the fish house. And God is saying, listen, when it comes a time in your life where you begin to need these finances, I am going to bring up to you this whole little data log of how many little trips you took, how many dresses you bought, how many shoes you got, how many this and that. God is saying, I need you to be faithful over the small things. I need you to be the perfect steward over small stuff before I can entrust into your care big stuff. Because the way God looks at it is, if you're in debt with little stuff, then if I give you more money, guess what? You're going to become more indebted. God says, I need you to get out of the debt that you're in right now based on the finances you have right now. If that means you got to cut back and you got to go into a smaller apartment, you got to get a smaller car, whatever it is, God says, I need you to do that before I entrust more money into your care. You haven't been faithful over what I've given you so far. How you gonna be faithful? Honey, you ain't faithful over your friendly relationships. You ain't faithful with folk you work with. You ain't faithful with folk you go to church with, but you telling God you want a husband. God is like, you don't know how to conduct a relationship. You don't know how to have no relationship. Why in the world would I put a man and link him with it? You want a wife? Why would I link her with this? You don't even know how to be a good friend to the friends you already have around you. God says there's a breaking point. And I need each one of my children to reach that breaking point before I intercede. I need them to do it on their own, Aaron, because if I come into the picture and do it, they're not going to like the way I do it, and they're going to get upset with me, and it's probably going to push them away from me even further than they already are. I need them to get to that point on their own. And when they do it from a sincere heart, then I will come in and say, okay, now let's begin to mend you back together.